Good morning, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. This is your Property News Live. If you're new here, you've got to click that follow button. And if you like the show, please do share it to your community and then we can help as many people as we possibly can. Hi, I'm Rick Gannon. Welcome back to my channel. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Property News. Now what we normally do here is we do a shout out and I ask you to tell me where you're from, give me your name, then I give you a little bit of airtime so we just bring the whole community together. So if you'd like to tell me where you're watching from, let's say good morning, we can do the shout out, so come to those in a second. Lockdown haircut, yeah, DIY, what do you think? I don't think it's that different than paying £10 for it. I don't know. What do you think? I think my barber is actually probably going to be watching this. So you let me know your thoughts as a professional. All right, what's first up today then? So first in today, landlords are warning the government that if it increases capital gains tax, the rental market will freeze up. Chatter has increased in recent months about a possible capital gains tax hike following a report from the Office for Tax Simplification proposing measures to equalise capital gains tax with income tax rates. The National Residential Landlord Association is highlighting research which found that 72% of private landlords regard the tax as a major disincentive to sell property on the open market. Increasing it would serve to freeze the market, making it far less responsive to changing needs from renters, the NRLA says. This includes the shift in demand out of city centres to properties in suburbs, towns and villages. As noted in several recent Rightmove reports, the association says almost half of landlords have entered the market chiefly to contribute to their pension, and for them, increasing capital gains tax would negatively impact their retirement plans. For many, this is predicated on liquidating assets to fund their later life, including in many cases their care costs. The NRLA says that rather than developing yet more punitive tax hikes on the rental market, the Chancellor should use the tax more smartly on the March 3rd budget. It recommends that to support the government's ambitions for home ownership, there should be a capital gains tax exemption or reduction where landlords sell properties to sitting tenants. This is a policy which has previously been supported by the new junior minister at the Housing Ministry, Communities and Local Government, Eddie Hughes. Ben Beadle from the NRLA says that increasing capital gains tax would reduce churn in the rental market, undermining the flexibility it has always been good at providing. A tax hike would be a kick in the teeth for all of those who have invested in property to provide security for the future for themselves and their families. The Chancellor needs to end the war on the rental market and recognise the importance of a healthy and vibrant rented housing sector. Tax should be used more smartly, not as a blunt attack on the market. In fear of saying "I love that," which is a Clubhouse phrase, the Chancellor needs to end the war on rental markets. I love that. It's the first time I've heard anybody say, call this a war. Is it a war? Are we at war? I'm going to use that. The Chancellor needs to end the war. Okay, let's have a look at some of the shout outs. Good morning, everybody. So first up, good morning, Joanne from Stratford. Ron, good morning from Cardiff. And to Dee watching on YouTube, Manchester. Michelle, good morning from Wandsworth. Michael from a frozen Devon. Adex from Coventry. Good morning, Rhiannon from Cornwall. Good morning to Christina from Cheshire, my hometown, Warrington. I love it. Cheshire is like not my hometown, but Cheshire's the county. D, good morning, looking good, thank you very much. Alessandra, good morning from North Yorkshire. Patrick, good morning from Market Deeping. Good morning, Kevin from Forley. And Paz from Brighton. Bad hair day. No, I don't have any hair left. I've cut it all off. You know what? It's really funny. I've always had my hair this short. Ever since I joined the police, it's just easy. And sometimes when we go into lockdown, of course it grows. Then I have it cut back short and everybody says, wow, your hair's short. It's been like this for like 25 years. Good morning, Toyin from Maidstone. Good morning to Stepinska from Surrey. And Marie, good morning. Can't believe how many people are getting Section 21s as landlords are selling. Good morning, Kevin. Looking with you, new haircut. Rick, you are looking with your new, looking good, I think you mean, Kevin. Yes, thank you. I know what you mean. Kay, good morning from Cheshire, another Cheshire. Good morning, Richard. Good morning to Yemi from Essex. And Justin is spamming. We've got a spammer. Whoop, whoop. Okay, let's just get rid of, can we get rid of the spammer? Let me get rid of the spammer. Spammer's blocked. Okay, done. No more spam. You can't see that. It's blocked. Let me delete it. I can't. Yes, I can. We get spammers on these live feeds. That's good. It just means we're reaching a wider audience. Good morning, Maria. Last couple of shout outs now. And to Jit from Oxford, and to Mina from Wigan, and to Matt from Shrewsbury. That's it. We're done with the shout outs. No more shout outs because you're here to watch the news. Okay, so what else is in the news this morning? Your council tax band determines what your bill will be, but it's calculated in quite an archaic way. It's based on the value of your property at a particular point in time. In England, it was the 1st of April 1991, and the same for Scotland. In Wales, it was the value of your property in 2003. Northern Ireland works slightly differently, and it never switched to council tax in the 90s. Instead, it charges domestic rates. So let's focus on England. The bands are split from band A to H. The farther down the alphabet your council tax band, the higher your bill is likely to be. If your property was valued at £40,000 in 1991, you'll be band A. And if it was valued at more than £320,000, you'll be band H. Now, if you believe your property is in the wrong band, you can challenge it through the Valuation Office Agency, the VOA, to get your property revalued and moved into a different, cheaper band. Now, challenging your council tax band can deliver bad news as well as good news. You could end up increasing your council tax bill by the agency deciding that you should be in a higher band instead of the band you are currently sitting in. There are some criteria that you have to meet, so you'll need to have some concrete evidence for your challenge to be successful. For example, if there have been changes to your property that would make it less valuable than the original valuation, or part of it has been demolished, or it's a house that has subsequently been converted into flats, not HMO, or there may have been a change to the property or local area that would have changed the valuation of the property, such as roadworks that have been built that would have affected the rateable value of the property. You can also get your band changed if mistakes have been made when the rating was carried out. Now, the benefits of challenging successfully. If your council tax band has been incorrectly calculated, not only will you enjoy lower bills, but you'll get the money back that you've overpaid, all the way back to when you started paying the wrong amount. If you've been in your property for a couple of decades, that could be a lot of money, but be aware. Challenging your council tax can deliver bad news as well as good. You could end up increasing your council tax bill by the agency deciding that you should be in a higher band, and this could affect your neighbours with their potential to make you quite unpopular down your street because they will be banded the same. Now, this is quite rare. Last year, Which reported that of the 43,650 band challenges made to the VOA, around 1 in 3 got them lowered successfully. Only 70 saw their council tax bill increase. The vast majority had their band kept as it was. Now, that's for single lets. There is a caveat here for HMO. Now, in my experience, when the VOA decide that they want to singly band a HMO property room, they've pretty much got carte blanche across the whole platform, because if there's been any adaptations to the room, then they can, if they choose to, singly band that room. Now, an adaptation to a room could be something as simple as a thumb lock or a fire door or a smoke detector. It's not necessarily a bedroom, a bathroom and a kitchenette all in one unit. Some councils are individually banding HMO rooms just because they are individual rooms on individual contracts. Now, you've got to be really careful with this. Now, I know that some people have tried to challenge this over the years. Now, in my experience, I don't know how many people I've seen, probably 10 people hire barristers and go to court with this, and they've all lost bar one. Now, I know one person that managed to win, and they got it overturned based on a technicality, based on paperwork. It wasn't anything but that the VOA made a mistake and they promised to do something in writing, and they didn't do it, and it was overturned. Now, every other person that I've seen, unfortunately, have not been successful. So how do we future-proof single banding in HMOs? Well, we simply can't. It's impossible. Now, I phoned my VOA. I always like to talk to people that are actually making the rules. And they said that in our area, unless you, if you don't have to leave the room to live, then they won't single band it. If you are able to live in that room, they will single band it. If you're able to live in that room without moving out of the room to do anything else, then it will be singly banded, i.e. ensuite and kitchenette and cooking facilities and sleeping and living facilities. But not every council does the same thing. So we're okay at the moment. So how do you future-proof? Well, people are saying, well, don't put ensuites in. I don't really think that matters. I honestly think that the VOA, obviously they're going to singly band. The council gets a tick in the box for accommodation. And of course, it's a big monetary element as well. So here's what we do. We put a clause in our contract, and it's a fair clause to say, should the valuations office agency ever singly band your room for the purpose of council tax, then it will be your responsibility from this date to pay your own council tax and claim your single person living allowance. Because of course we can't do that as landlords. And then we just simply charge it back to the tenant. It's less attractive because the tenant will need to pay more. Now, on average, it will probably be about £50 to £60 a month more. Are we going to reduce our rent? Well, no. We have got some singly banded properties, and they're always full. The tenants don't mind paying. It's all good. So I think, don't panic, don't worry too much about it, and don't try and control things you can't control, because it will stop you. All we can do is future-proof. So get a clause in your tenancy agreements. So if it ever does happen, at least then you can go to your tenant and you can charge them. The tenant decides to move out, well, that's up to them. When you advertise the room for your new tenant, you explain to them that they are responsible for their own council tax. Now, of course, that doesn't cover you for voids. When the property becomes void, then you're going to have to contact the council and tell them the void period, and then sign that period over to you, and then you'll be responsible for that period. That's all we can do. There is not really a huge amount more that we can do with that at the moment until we start to get some tested cases. Now, if we do get some successful cases in court, then great, we can rely on those as stated cases, and hopefully that will shift the balance. But at the moment, the councils have got a lot of power, Any more on coming in hellos? Sammy saying council tax should be abolished and replaced with one not linked to property price, create some sort of local service. I think we're going to see a lot, Sammy, in the budget that's coming up with all of the tax elements. I think things are changing, aren't they? I'm not sure the council tax will change, but I know that capital gains tax and stamp duty land tax and everything may be morphed into something completely different that's a little bit more beneficial for everybody. Nikki's saying, does that affect serviced accommodation? Not if you've got business rates. So if you have business rates, then no. If you're on council tax, then of course you're going to be paying for the whole house, not individually. Now, if you've got a house that you're trading as serviced accommodation, each individual room, i.e. stranger in room 1, stranger in room 2, stranger in room 3, then you've got a bed and breakfast or a hotel, which should be under commercial business rates anyway. So if you've got business rates, then you potentially could claim small business rate relief as well. So effectively, it's going to be better for you because you won't pay anything if you qualify for small business rates, Nikki. So take a look at that. If you're paying council tax at the moment on a serviced accommodation unit, then try and change it over to business rates and then try and apply for small business rates relief, because then you could potentially not pay anything depending on how your business is set up. I'm just saying that was tried in 1989. Massive riots caused it to be abolished, yeah. Council tax is a hybrid of the old rates that failed tax. Well, council tax is a hybrid of all of it. What was it? I can't remember. It's called roof tax. Do you remember that? Was it called roof tax? I'm sure it was. What else was it called? I can't remember now. When it started to come in, window tax, was that? That was years, no, window tax was before I was alive. That's when people used to brick up their windows because they were having to pay tax depending on how many windows they had in their house. Do you remember that? No, no one will remember that. That was like millions of years ago. But Andrew, is it called poll tax? Roof tax? Some of those elements? Yeah, maybe, yeah, poll tax, Nikki. We had something else as well though before that, didn't we? Yeah, we had poll tax, but we had something else. I'm sure we did. In the days of Margaret Thatcher. Maybe I'm too old for everybody here. Kirtan, good morning. Lots of people saying good morning. Emma, that happened to someone I know. They wanted it reduced, but they got it put up. I know. This is the key point here. I don't know of anyone that has successfully challenged this. I wish they would. You know, I wish we'd get this over, but poll tax introduced by Thatcher. Yeah, it was poll tax, wasn't it? Thank you, everybody. Good mornings. Lots of still good mornings coming in. Good morning. Please put this back on the podcast. Oh, Matt, as I work on a ship and internet is crap and you've missed it. Thank you, Matt. All right, podcast. Why have I not done a podcast this year? It's really difficult for me. Obviously now I've got lots of businesses to run and I'm trying my very best to give as much free content out there as I possibly can. Now, of course, we've got this introduction of Clubhouse as well. That's just like taking the world by storm. So I'm trying to get some presence on Clubhouse as well. And there's only so much that I can do. Now, I felt that my podcast, because it was an audio stream of this feed, it wasn't designated specifically for my podcast. And I felt that my listeners were thinking, well, this is secondhand information. It's not for us. I can get this on Facebook. So what I've done with my podcast at the moment is I've decided to press the pause button. Now, I'm going through a rebrand for my company. So New Era, it's my company, New Era Training, New Era Property. We're going through a whole new rebrand this year, a restructure, rebrand, and we're growing, we're scaling. And that's all part and parcel of that plan. So at the moment it's paused, Matt. For the moment, it is there. I've not taken it down, but there has been no new content this year specifically, whilst we fit that particular element into the building blocks of our new rebrand. We've got some amazing things coming this year as a company. We're doubling everything that we do, and it's just going to be phenomenal. And the podcast is going to fit within that. So please do watch this space. Thank you for the comments. I do appreciate it. John saying, has your clause been challenged? Someone in a different thread disputes the ability. Okay, it's never been challenged. Now, I don't think it's an unfair clause, John. How can it be unfair? It's almost like challenging utility costs. So if you're responsible for paying your electric, you're responsible for paying your water, you're responsible for paying your internet, that's in the contract. It's not an unfair clause. So no, I absolutely do not think it's an unfair clause. It's a bill that they have to pay. Why should they challenge it and then have it deemed as an unfair clause? Unfair clauses will be things like you can't bring pets without a fair challenge. Unfair clauses would be you can't drink alcohol in the property. An unfair clause and utilities are two very different things. It's their cost. It's their cost. You would have to pay that if you were living in a flat. You would have to pay that if you were living in a house, a complete one dwelling house. So why would it be unfair and why would it be challenged? So no, I totally disagree with that. So whoever said that, I disagree, unless they have taken it to court and unless it has been deemed as an unfair clause. I don't see how it ever could be. It's their cost. They are living there the same as their utilities. How could it be unfair? That's talking from a very pragmatic approach on that. Now, if there's ever an unfair clause, things like capping bills, you know, having a bill cap, whatever you call it, a fair usage policy, that's an unfair clause. You can't do that. That could be challenged. All of those type of things, yeah, I get it. But this is a bill, and it's their bill. So therefore, they should pay for it, right? John saying, Rick, thanks for the... Yeah, that's just my thoughts, John. But you look at this logically, you know, that's almost like you saying you challenge your landlord for paying council tax in a single let property, saying it's not fair. Well, it's a bill, it's a utility cost. So yeah, absolutely. Matt saying fair enough, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Community charge, thank you, Andrew. That was it. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, so it's community charge, and then it became poll tax, didn't it? Yeah, Andrew, thank you so much. Always great to get your feedback on that. Okay, folks, we are 50 minutes in. Good news report this morning. Thank you for following me. Click on the like button if you do like it. Please do share it. And don't forget to make sure that you have some fun today, because it's not worth it unless you can. I'll be back here tomorrow at 8:30 to give you all the latest breaking property news. Thanks for following me. I'm now over to Clubhouse. See you later.